This is a game where the fire is the most important part of the game, and let me tell you why. In The Tribe Must Survive, the fire is the only thing keeping the monsters away at nighttime. What this means is that you have to actually make sure the fire stays lit all the time, which also means managing your resources. So let me tell you about my first playthrough of this game. I immediately started up and saw the fire in the middle and the people camped around it. I decided the best thing to do would probably be to start building buildings, as you normally would. So I paused it and I started to build woodcutting places in the hopes that they would start chopping more wood. Little did I know that when you do this, you actually use wood, which meant I ran out of it. And as you can see on the screen here, I failed miserably. This is the resource management part of the game. Your job as the person running the camp is to build the camp up over time, making sure that your tribe has food and materials to build new buildings and actually expand your little camp area. But you have to make sure you have enough wood in your resources to keep the fire burning through the night. Now there are a few things that will affect this, and that's like, for example, the radius of the fire. As you expand your camp, you're going to need to increase the radius of the fire, which means burning more wood to increase that radius. This means that you have to make sure you gather enough, but there are things that will stop you doing this, like insanity, which I will get to in a moment. You also have to manually start the fire yourself every single time it hits nighttime, and remember to turn off the fire when it hits daytime. If you forget to do this, then you can have your fire burning through the day, wasting wood without even realizing it. This is where you have to pay attention to everything going on at all times. And that brings us to the insanity part. If your tribe members are stuck in the darkness for a long enough amount of time, they can get insanity, or their insanity and fear build up. Once their insanity or fear has built up to a certain amount, they can literally be like scared stiff to the point where they will stand in one spot and they won't move. Now this might not seem like a big problem, but in one of my playthroughs, two of my woodcutters were essentially scared stiff. They were stood near the fire, needing the fire to be on to lower their insanity, and I didn't realize, and this meant that when it got to nighttime, the fire ran out because the wood was gone, because no one was cutting new wood. Your tribe also require spiritual things as well, so as you progress through, you can get like a research area where they can research new things and improve your stats and skills of your tribe in general by upgrading certain things. It also gives you the ability to then upgrade buildings and make them more efficient. You'll also need to do these kind of tribute things in order to increase the spirituality of your people to keep their faith strong as well. The game generally has you managing a hell of a lot of different things at the same time, and you have to keep an eye on everything. So it's very useful to use the pause button. Having your thumb on the space bar all the time so you can pause just to think every now and again is very important in this game. As you survive for longer, you start to get more built up in a much larger area, and you can send people off on expeditions to discover new parts of the map. This will allow them to bring certain things back, but you do have to make decisions when they're doing their explorations, like for example deciding whether they keep going or they come back. Though the game does seem like a very simple premise, it's actually much more in depth than you'll realize, and it is very easy to fail without even realizing you're going to. There are also random events that happen occasionally which may make you make a decision which could potentially affect your tribe. These decisions can be little things like, for example, one of them was where they were cutting wood and they saw the shape of an eye in the wood and blood coming out of it, so you had to make a tribute towards the stump essentially in order to keep my people happy. Or I could cut down the stump and use it as fire, but that would actually mean that I get corrupted wood, which would mean that the fire would burn at 100% rate, which means my wood would burn faster. It's little decisions like these that can make a huge difference to your survival if you don't plan correctly. And that is one of the things about this game that makes it difficult. You might be doing very, very well, and you might have planned out your whole village area really well, and then it can throw just a random event at you and kind of ruin your entire plan. Also, if people go out of the light area at nighttime, then they can potentially be snatched by creatures. There is the automatic feature of an alarm or a horn being sounded to warn people to get them back to the campfire, which you can turn off for some reason. I'm not sure why you would do that, but that means that at night people generally stop working the majority of the time unless they can stay in the light of the fire. But when you start setting up things like the woodcut and lumber camps, then you will find that people will have to start to travel further out from your campfire in order to gather wood. So at the start you have all of the materials around you, like food can be easily got, and obviously wood and stone. But as you exhaust those materials, you exhaust those things, then your people will start having to travel further out for it. This then makes it a lot harder for you to gather wood, for example, or have enough wood to last the night, because your people are having to travel further out. There are other things like farms that you can build, and obviously ways to get trees local to where you are. But these are things that you will have to wait until the second act to start unlocking certain things. Everything is essentially locked behind certain acts of it, and you have to complete certain conditions in order to progress through the story. But then when you die, you have to start from the very start again. And this brings me to the whole part of when you die. You do get experience and you do level up over time. And when you start a new gameplay, that was a weird way to put it, when you start a new game, you will have the ability to select certain perks that could help you potentially or hinder you depending. There are also several challenge modes that make it a lot harder, as well as more recently there's been a new exploration mode that's been added that takes away a lot of the difficulty from the game, gives you less experience, but also stops a lot of the random things from happening, so you can kind of just explore the gameplay features and the way buildings work. Overall, for such a simple game, I actually do enjoy it. It is quite fun and challenging, and when you think that you're getting somewhere and you think you're making progress and you've got loads of wood and you're thinking this is great, you can make a simple mistake like building a farm, adding fields around that farm, and then realizing you just used up most of your wood, and then you die. Or as I said, there can be just a random event that pops up which will all of a sudden make a lot of your wood disappear because something happened and you have no say in it. As well as sometimes there is also one event that hit me a couple of times which kind of makes it a lot harder, and that is an eclipse. And when an eclipse happens, you have nighttime for potentially several days in a row. This means that when you're coming up to an eclipse and it warns you, you have to make sure that you've got a good stock of wood and make sure that you get it fast. Overall, I actually, like I say, I enjoyed this game. I think it's something that if you like strategy and more tactical planning things and more micromanagement sort of games, you'll definitely enjoy it. And if it's not your type of game, then I do have 2 recommendations that you could watch next, which will give you a good idea of other games you could play. But first, I do have to say I am on the road to 10,000 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed, then please hit that subscribe button, like, comment and all that sort of stuff. It would be interesting to hear your opinion on what you think of this game, so get down in the comments, let me know what you think of it. And now for those recommendations, if you do like driving games or driving simulation games, then check out my video of Taxi Life, a city driving simulator here. That is actually a really good fun game and it's very realistic. And if you prefer a more top-down roguelike shooter sort of video, then check out Ammo and Oxygen. This is actually a really good fun game and not a lot of people know about it, so check out that video because it is really good. Other than that, all I have to say is thank you for watching my video. I've been Liking from Green Liking Reviews, and I'll see you in the next one.